my book club, Words for the Soul, and I have a soft spot for all the independent authors. And I love to host these events called Featuring the Unknown. And today we have 3 very exciting, some seasoned, some brand new. But we are all here to hear a little bit of their work, how they got into becoming an author, and what you can look forward to coming up next. Just so that you know, any of you who have not already become aware of the raffle, I have a basket that I am raffling off. 1 ticket for $1, 6 tickets for $5. It is a past, present, and future Black History basket of Octavia Butler, if you're not familiar with her, an amazing sci-fi Black author, as well as another independent author, Lady Blackbird. She was featured previously and has done some collab work with King Benjamin, as well as the Michelle Obama Becoming Inspirational Journal, and 4 of my bookmarks that I've created. So if you want to purchase those, or you can purchase the individual bookmarks, you have that opportunity. But let's go ahead and get started first with our feature author, Leandra Simone. All right. Woo-hoo. Come on up, come on up. Yes. You can't tell me that part. Yes, come on up. Am I supposed to bring my book? Yes. Okay, so, all right, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Leandra Simone. I have written a book, Dancing on the Edge of Moonlight. It's my first novel. It is a romance novel. That's pretty much it. I've always wanted to write. I've always tried to write. I did a lot of workshops and classes, but the storyline just never came. And then finally, after 1,000 years, I had a story. And again, I wrote it, and I finished it, and I published it. So I'm very excited to be here amongst all of these seasoned writers and entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you. So I'm gonna read a few passages from my book. Again, it's Dancing on the Edge of Moonlight. It is available on Amazon and Kindle. And it is by me. Running as well as she could in the pouring rain, she reached her car and found that her vehicle was on 4 flats. Throwing everything in the back seat, Kara slammed the door and burst into frustrated tears. While closing her eyes and practicing her deep breathing, Kara drifted off to sleep, lulled by the sound of the rain. She was then startled when she realized there was a man standing next to her car tapping on the window. Kara cracked the window. "You are requested to step out of the car." "I am not getting out of this car." And before Kara could say more, he interrupted. If you do not exit the vehicle, we will be forced to remove you." Anybody being forcibly removed from anything could not be a pretty sight, but Kara was sure in her case she looked worse. After the 2 guards had tousled her out, she and her belongings were unceremoniously dumped onto the floor of a limo, and the door was immediately shut and locked. Kara never realized how dark the inside of a limo could be. She squinted into the darkness. "Your performance was greatly appreciated, but totally unnecessary. I only wanted to offer assistance." And with that, the voice clicked on a side light. To her astonishment, it was him again, but not as himself, as the other. Kara was dumbfounded. She stared into the shadows, and he stared back. The silence grew thickly between them. He murmured something so softly she could not understand. With an exasperated sigh, she turned to face him. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" "I said, where shall we go for dinner?" So they were back to dinner. Kara took a cleansing breath. Before she could respond, he grinned at her wickedly. "Surely you would not begrudge your would-be night." She was overwhelmed and exhausted by everything that had happened. Hazily, she thought, free ride, free clothes, free meal, what the hell? "Okay," she replied simply. Kara took a small sip of wine. She was warming up and relaxing all at the same time. She needed to slow down and keep her wits about her. "I'm not himself or the other," he stated stiffly. Kara's eyes snapped to his. "Yeah, I know that's what I'm called," he continued. "I'm just me." Taking a deep breath, she exhaled while looking directly in his eyes. "And who are you?" Not the megastar or the artist, but the man. Again, the silence. She thought this conversation was going nowhere fast. It was a labyrinth of unknowns, untruths, and misunderstandings.
So much for no more wine. She took another sip. The waiter approached the table. More wine, Julian ordered. She lifted both eyebrows in question. What? He responded. We're going to be here for a while. This conversation is going nowhere fast. Kara wasn't sure if it was the wine or because he had just verbalized her thoughts or both, but she started laughing. He started laughing too. Oh, so you thought the same thing. When they both stopped laughing, he held out his hand and she shook it. Nice to meet you, he grinned. From there, the conversation bloomed, haltingly at first, then more freely. Hours later, the night finally came to an end. He insisted on walking her to the door. She did not complain. She had a lot to carry. Halfway up the flight of stairs, he let out an exaggerated breath. Damn, girl, you must be trying to kill a brother. Their laughter echoed throughout the hallway, and they were still laughing when they made it to her door. Kara fumbled with her keys, unlocked the door, and turned to say goodnight. He was standing directly behind her. Since she had not opened the door, there was nowhere to go, and although he didn't touch her, she could feel the heat of his body and the warmth of his breath just inches away. Can a brother get a kiss goodnight, he whispered, and before she could object, he kissed her softly on the lips. He leaned into her, sandwiching her body against his and the closed door. His kiss deepened, and an arm slipped behind her, drawing her closer to him. Kara heard a lone laugh.
Now, before you guys step away, I did want to mention that I came across you after you attended Source Booksellers' book opening for the Purple Party, and they made me aware of you, and that's how I contacted you. So you owe them a thank you.
You know what? I already went over there.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. As soon as I heard from you, I went over there.
Yes, Source Booksellers is a Black-owned bookstore, independent, and you guys should check them out as well. But thank you for sharing your work. Now, you were at the Purple Party because...
I was at the Purple Party because my character is kind of a little princey, on the lines of princey. So I was feeling purple, and it was a Purple Party. And so I went there, and they were very gracious. You know, they listened to me do my little spill, and then they even let me be the beautiful one. They were like, "Oh, yeah, the beautiful one." So I took pictures. I'm like, "Okay, thank you." So it was a lot of fun. So I really appreciate them, you know, having and letting me be a part of it, and then also them passing me on to you. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think we are ready to go ahead and continue on. As I was saying, if you don't know who LaTanya Garth is, you certainly will know today. She has an amazing presence. She's very inspirational, and I'll let you do the rest.
How y'all doing? My name is LaTanya Garth. I am the author of Keep Going, The Dream Is Enough. So just a quick story about my book. I won't take too much time up. This book was actually inspired by my deceased mother. So I lost my mother some time ago, and I have an organization that works with increasing self-esteem in women, and it was just one day I had this big event, and I didn't want to go because this would be the first big event I had without my mother. So that's hard, right? And I went to sleep, and I had a dream. And in this dream, it was just this crazy dream. So my parents have been married 38 years. So of course my father's in this depression. So I'm in a depression because I'm like, I don't know how to help you. I don't understand any of this. This is hard, right? So I went to sleep. And my mother would call me every single day before she died and say, I love you. Every day she would call and say, I love you. And in this dream, like, it's just crazy. So I'll tell you about it because it's in the book. It was like this cafeteria setting. So I want to paint a picture so y'all can kind of visualize what I'm talking about, right? It's this big cafeteria setting, and all of these cots land on the floor. It's like all of these cots, but they have dead people on the cots. And the families could kind of run up to the dead people on the cots and talk to their family. So in this dream, my mother was laying on this cot. And I ran up to her. I'm like, Mom, I love you, I love you, I love you. And she didn't wake up. But maybe like 10 seconds later, she rose up. And she said, you know that scripture in the Bible say, train up a child the way they should go? I said, yeah. She said, you keep going. You keep going. And then she laid back down, and she never came back to me ever since. So the dream that she gave me was enough. So that's why the title was Keep Going, The Dream Is Enough. It was like my inheritance. You know how like somebody lose a parent and you like, okay, what did you leave me, Mom? What did you leave me, Dad? Like, she didn't leave me anything but this. And when I tell you, this was the best thing that she could have ever left me. was those 2 words, because after I had that dream, all hell broke loose. So you motherless, right? And then you end up having a baby. Or you get pregnant. And I'm like, I'm what? How did that happen? Well, I know how it happened, but it happened. And my daughter's due date was the day that my mother died. So it was all like put together. So I had no idea that I would lose my mother, right? Then have a child, go through postpartum depression, and then become a motherless mother. The only way that I could say that I'm standing here right now through my entire story, which I have not even given you, I didn't even scratch the surface of it, was those 2 words. Keep going. Keep going. And that's what we have to do in life, because what happens is when we live in this thing called life, but it can get us down sometimes, right? I had to watch my mother die. Like, I had to watch her die, and it bothered me. And it's like, now I'm in a space where I want to take the gift that God had gave me, because if my mother had not passed away, I would not be standing here with this story. There's no way, right? She came to me in a dream. That's a spiritual encounter I had with her. So I don't even look at it as a dream. I look at it as if that was actually her telling me to keep going. It was her. And so now I believe that that dream was enough for me. So depression, you a liar. That dream that she gave me was enough, right? Feeling down or inadequate or unworthy. Nope. The dream she gave me was enough. So just the fact that I know that I can keep going, it's like this special inheritance that I have that nobody can take from me. Like, nobody can take it away. Like, nobody can take this away from me, because she gave me something spiritual. Just like God is spirit, and she gave me an encounter that is worth more than anything.
Thank you. Now, we will have King Benjamin come up. He has been featured in the book club 3 different times. We read record label Romance 1 and 2. That was a collab work that he did. And we also did the War Report series last January, which was a collection of 3 books. I believe he has 1 other spinoff from it. And I was supposed to get to Target of Envy that he just released, and then he put another release on top of that movie. So and I believe that one is totally different from those normal love stories. All right, I'll let you go ahead.
Hello everybody, I'm Arthur King Benjamin. Like she said, I got a lot of titles out. Self-published 23 books at least. Losing count myself. But I am a full-time author. And I love what I do. I didn't know I was going to have to read it. So I'm kind of getting used to it now, so that's one thing. Don't get into it. But I picked this book because it's so intense. It's called More Than I Can Bear, and the subtitle is 2 people pushed to their limit. And that basically tells you what the story's about. They fall really deeply in love, and then it goes haywire. So the haywire, I think, is the best part of the book. And I picked the chapter that kind of displays the haywire part of it. Lance bonded Tony out of jail on $5,000 bond. He only been in jail for 3 days. He still looked like shit because he hadn't slept in a few hours each day. He couldn't believe he was charged with a felony assault on top of everything else he had transpired that past week. He couldn't believe she would actually have thrown him in jail, especially after opening the vote. His growing hatred for Nicole was ruining his decision-making process. As he rode in Lance's car on the way home, all he could think about was how he glanced back at him for having him arrested, how he get back at her for having him arrested and have the last laugh. What the fuck is wrong with you, Tony? This is not even you, man. You're drinking every fucking day now, putting your hands on your wife. When did you become this guy? When did you become this guy? I ain't never known you to put your hands on a female, and I've been knowing this for 15 years. Tony brushed his hands over the peach fuzz that had formed on his face over the past few days. You weren't there, Lance. Nicole intentionally pushed my buttons like never before this morning. And that's what you want to tell the judge? You know better than that shit, man. You can't just let a woman push you to the level they're gonna win every time. Especially with that mouth. And you ain't even got a firm leg to stand on. You got caught red-handed. Shit. You should have just been begging for forgiveness the whole time. Tony just listened to Lance not really knowing how to explain his current situation. He couldn't speak on the drinking because he knew Lance wouldn't understand how it helped him cope with the chaos that had become his life. When he got his thoughts together, he spoke on what he could. I just want my family, man. Lance. That's all I wanted. And I tried to do right by Nicole, but when Brittany popped up with my son, and everything just went haywire. You see my son, man, he's my twin. He's an exact replica of me, and she wants me there with her to help raise my son, and I want to be there. But you got a wife, Tony. I don't care anymore, Tony. So you gonna try and make it work with Brittany? Yeah, I am, Tony. I love her. You love her? Yeah, I do. You still love Nicole? Tony thought for a moment. He could only judge by how he was currently feeling. Whatever love I still had in my heart for Nicole, it left 3 days ago. Nicole moved in with Angel until she could find a place. But with Stanley in the hospital, she hadn't had time to even think far ahead. When she got home, when she got some free time, the first thing she did was went and filed for a divorce to get the ball rolling on the process. Angel was given the task of serving Tony with the papers which she readily accepted. She didn't know how things went so bad between them so quickly.
That's pretty deep. Definitely deep, but we do appreciate you sharing that with us. We appreciate everyone coming out. That basically wraps up everyone's part. But you know what's next, right? Write some books! But thank you for coming. We'll do the raffle shortly. And about 5 minutes we'll do the raffle. All right. I think I shook it up pretty good.
So I'm just pulling out one ticket.
Just one ticket. Who we got? It's Michael. I guess I could read the number, but 778-4212. You got that ticket with you? I need that ticket.
Look at that.
Let's match that up.
Show her what she's won.
Why are you so aggressive?
Show her what she's won.
You recording or take?
I can take pictures too.
I can't.
I don't know why.